My name is David Turner, and I spent 6 months listening to my wife fall in love with another man through a voice-activated recorder I'd hidden in her car. The worst part wasn't the affair itself. It was hearing her laugh with him the way she used to laugh with me, back when I was more than just the guy who paid the mortgage and took out the trash. By the time I finally confronted her, I'd already documented everything, consulted 3 lawyers, and opened a separate bank account. She called me cold. I called it survival. I'm 42 years old, married 15 years, father to Emma, 12, and Sophie, 9. I work as a senior project manager at a construction firm in Charlotte, North Carolina. Good job, decent money, predictable life. Or so I thought. The first crack appeared 3 months ago. Small things. Melissa started going to the gym more. New clothes. Phone always face down. She'd smile at texts and quickly put the phone away when I entered the room. Classic signs, but I told myself I was paranoid. Then came the night she said she was meeting her sister for dinner. I called her sister an hour later about borrowing their camping gear. "Oh, Melissa's not here," Karen said. "I thought she was home with you guys." That's when something cold settled in my chest. The next morning, I drove to an electronics store 40 minutes from our neighborhood and bought a voice-activated recording device. Small, magnetic, battery life of 2 weeks. I told myself I was crazy, that I'd feel like an idiot when it picked up nothing but her singing along to the radio. I placed it under the driver's seat of her Honda Pilot on a Tuesday morning after she left for work. She's a dental hygienist, regular hours, home by 6 usually. I went to work like normal, sat through meetings, reviewed blueprints, ate lunch with my team, all while knowing that device was recording. The first few days were innocent. Phone calls with her mom, her sister, singing along to Adele, talking to herself about grocery lists. I almost removed it. Then came Friday afternoon. "Hey you," she said, her voice different, softer. "I'm leaving now." "Yeah, I can be there in 20 minutes. "No, he thinks I'm shopping with Karen." I know, we need to be careful. I miss you too." I sat in my truck in the construction site parking lot, listening through my earbuds. My hands were steady, but inside, something fundamental was breaking. Over the next weeks, I heard everything. His name was Ryan. They'd met at her gym. He was a personal trainer there, 28 years old. They'd been seeing each other for 4 months. 4 months of lies. 4 months while I worked 60-hour weeks, coached Sophie's soccer team, helped Emma with algebra homework, kept our life running. The recordings were explicit. Detailed plans to meet at his apartment, discussions about their future, her complaining about me, how I was boring, how we'd grown apart, how she felt alive again. She told him she was planning to ask for a divorce once she figured out the finances. I documented everything, downloaded the audio files to an encrypted drive, made transcripts with timestamps, consulted with 3 divorce attorneys during my lunch breaks. The best one, Margaret Chen, was direct. North Carolina is a no-fault state, but evidence of adultery can impact alimony and the judge's overall perception. Document everything, but don't let her know you know. Not yet. I opened a separate checking account and started diverting part of my paycheck. Changed passwords on important accounts. Made copies of all financial documents. Met with a therapist named Dr. Richards, who specialized in betrayal trauma. He helped me understand what I was feeling wasn't weakness, it was grief. "You're mourning the person you thought she was," he said. "That's normal, but don't let that grief make you act rashly. Stay strategic." At home, I was the same David. Patient, helpful, asked about her day, kissed her goodnight. The hardest part was looking at her across the dinner table, watching her laugh at something Sophie said, knowing that in a few hours, she'd text Ryan goodnight with words like, "I love you." The girls noticed nothing. That was crucial. Emma was dealing with middle school drama. Sophie had just made the travel soccer team. Their world was stable. I'd keep it that way as long as I could. My breaking point came on a Wednesday night. Melissa said she was going to a work continuing education seminar until 9. I sat in my truck outside Ryan's apartment complex and watched her Honda Pilot parked there for 3 hours. I didn't go up, didn't confront them, just sat there, letting the reality sink in completely. When she got home at 9:47, I was reading in bed. "How was the seminar?" I asked. "Boring but necessary," she said, heading to the shower. "I'm exhausted." I nodded and went back to my book. Inside, I was already gone. The next morning, I called Margaret Chen. "I'm ready," I said. "Let's do this right." Margaret Chen's office was in uptown Charlotte, 20th floor with views of the skyline. She was 50-something, sharp eyes, wedding ring with wear patterns that suggested she understood marriage wasn't always simple. "Walk me through everything," she said. I handed her a USB drive. 12 weeks of recordings. I've transcribed the relevant portions. Bank statements showing cash withdrawals she can't account for. Credit card charges at restaurants and hotels on days she said she was elsewhere. Phone records showing hundreds of texts to his number. Margaret plugged in the USB drive and opened the files. She listened to 3 minutes of one recording, Melissa and Ryan in his car after meeting at a park, discussing when they could get away for a weekend. Then stopped it. "This is comprehensive," she said. "More than we usually see. How are you holding up?" "I'm functional." That's not what I asked. I looked out the window at the city below. "I wake up at 4 every morning. Can't sleep. I'm losing weight. Every time I look at her, I see someone I don't know. But I'm keeping it together for my daughters. They can't see me fall apart." "They might need to see you're human," Margaret said. "But I understand the instinct. Let's talk strategy." We spent 2 hours going through North Carolina law. Alimony could be denied to a spouse who committed adultery. Child custody would likely be joint unless I could prove she was an unfit mother, which I couldn't and didn't want to. The house, bought before marriage, was in both names, but I'd paid 80% of the mortgage. Retirement accounts would be divided. Her car was paid off. Mine still had 2 years of payments. "The goal," Margaret said, "is a clean separation that protects your assets and gives you equal time with your daughters. The affair gives us leverage, but we don't weaponize it unless necessary. We're not trying to destroy her. We're trying to protect you." That night, I met my brother Jake at a sports bar in South Charlotte. He's 3 years older, divorced 5 years ago, owns a plumbing company. We ordered beers and wings and I told him everything. "Jesus," he said when I finished. "How long have you been carrying this?" 3 months since I confirmed it." "And you haven't said anything to her?" "Margaret advised me to get everything in order first." Jake shook his head. "That's smart, but man, that takes discipline. I would have confronted Sarah immediately and it would have been a disaster. You're playing chess while dealing with a nuclear bomb in your chest. I don't have a choice. Emma and Sophie need at least one parent thinking clearly." "What do you need from me?" "Just this. Someone who knows. I can't tell anyone else yet." He nodded. "You got it. And when you're ready to move out, I've got space above my shop. It's not fancy, but it's yours if you need it." The following week, I retrieved the recording device from Melissa's car one final time and replaced it with nothing. I had enough. More recordings would just be torture at this point. At work, my boss Karen noticed I was distracted. "David, you okay? You seem off lately." "Just some personal stuff. I'm handling it." "If you need time off, take it. You've got plenty of PTO banked." "I appreciate it. Might take you up on that soon." That weekend was Emma's 12th birthday party. 20 kids, pizza, laser tag, chaos. Melissa and I played the perfect couple, coordinating food, cutting cake, laughing at bad jokes. I watched her across the arcade, helping Sophie's friend with tickets, and felt absolutely nothing. The woman I'd loved was gone, replaced by someone I didn't recognize. On Monday morning, I checked our bank account and noticed Melissa had withdrawn $500 cash. The ATM was 2 blocks from Ryan's gym. Small things, but they added up to a pattern I could no longer ignore. I scheduled a meeting with a mediator for 2 weeks out, gave Margaret the go-ahead to prepare initial divorce papers, started looking at apartments near the girls' school so they wouldn't have to change districts. Dr. Richards asked during our session, "When are you going to tell her you know?" "When I'm ready, when everything's in place." "And when will that be?" I thought about it. "Soon. I can feel it coming. I'm almost numb enough to do it without breaking down. That concerns me. Numb isn't healthy. Neither is falling apart where my kids can see it. He nodded slowly. Fair point. But eventually, you'll need to feel this, David. You can't stay numb forever. The confrontation moment chose itself. 2 Thursdays later, Melissa got a text at dinner. She glanced at it, smiled slightly, then put the phone down. Emma was talking about her science project. Sophie was complaining about soccer practice. Normal family dinner. But I'd seen that smile. That quick, private moment of joy that had nothing to do with us. After the girls went upstairs to do homework, I said, "Melissa, we need to talk." She looked up from loading the dishwasher. "About what?" "About Ryan." Her hand stopped moving. The plate she was holding hovered over the rack. "What?" "Ryan, your personal trainer. The guy you've been seeing for the last 6 months." The color drained from her face. "David, I have recordings, Melissa. Every conversation, every plan, every time you told me you were somewhere else. I know everything." She set the plate down carefully, turned to face me. For several seconds, she said nothing. Then, "You recorded me?" I confirmed what I already suspected. "That's illegal. Actually, it's not. I checked. But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about the fact that you've been having an affair while I've been working myself to death to support this family." Melissa tried denial for about 30 seconds before it crumbled. Then came tears. Then anger at me for spying on her. Then more tears and claims that I'd been emotionally distant for years, that she'd felt alone, that she never meant for it to happen. I listened without interrupting, kept my voice level. I'm not interested in who's to blame for our marriage failing. I'm interested in moving forward cleanly, for Emma and Sophie's sake. "You can't just give up on us," she said. "You gave up 6 months ago. I'm just acknowledging reality." The next 2 weeks were careful choreography. We told the girls together that we were separating, but both still loved them very much. Emma cried. Sophie looked confused but tried to be brave. Hardest moment of my life, watching their world shift. I moved into Jake's apartment above his shop. Took my clothes, my books, my laptop, some furniture. Left most of the house intact so the girls' environment stayed stable. Established a schedule. I'd have them Wednesday nights and every other weekend. Melissa didn't fight me on it. Margaret filed the divorce papers. Since Melissa didn't contest, we moved to mediation quickly. With the documented affair, Melissa's lawyer advised her to accept a fair division without pushing for alimony. She kept the house, I kept my retirement accounts and truck, split the savings. Emma and Sophie would stay in their schools, go back and forth between us. The whole process took 3 months. Surprisingly civil. Melissa was subdued throughout, perhaps feeling guilty, perhaps just wanting it over with. Ryan broke up with her 2 weeks after she moved out. Apparently, he wasn't interested in dating a single mom with 2 kids and an ex-husband who knew his name. That part I heard through her sister Karen, who'd reached out to apologize for not telling me sooner. I suspected something but didn't want to interfere. "I'm sorry, David." "Not your fault," I told her. "I appreciate you staying in the girls' lives." My apartment was small but comfortable. Jake and I fell into a rhythm. He'd work downstairs during the day. I'd head to my construction office. Evenings we'd sometimes grab food or watch games. He understood when I needed space, when I needed company. Work became my anchor. I threw myself into a major hospital renovation project, stayed late, took on extra responsibilities. Karen pulled me aside one afternoon. "David, I'm glad you're dedicated, but you need balance. Take care of yourself too." "I'm fine." "You've lost 20 pounds and you look exhausted. Take the weekend off. That's not a request." I did. Spent Saturday with the girls at the Science Museum, Sunday hiking with them at Crowder's Mountain. They were adjusting, asking questions, sometimes sad, but mostly resilient. Kids are tougher than adults give them credit for. At night, alone in my apartment, the grief hit. I'd sit with a beer, stare at the wall, and let myself feel it. The loss, The betrayal. The end of the future I'd imagined. Dr. Richards said this was healthy, that I'd been holding it together so long I needed to release it somewhere safe. 3 months after moving out, I ran into an old college friend, Marcus, at a brewery. We'd played baseball together, lost touch after graduation. He was in Charlotte for business. "David, man, how long has it been?" We caught up. He was divorced too, 2 years ago, living in Raleigh. When I mentioned my situation, he nodded knowingly. "It gets better," he said. "I know that sounds empty right now, but it does. You rebuild. Different, but better in some ways." How long did it take? For the rage to fade? 6 months? To actually feel okay? About a year? To feel good? I'm still working on it, but I'm closer. We exchanged numbers, started texting occasionally. He became an unexpected source of perspective, someone who'd been through it and come out the other side. At the gym, which I'd joined to fill evening time, I started a routine, 5 days a week. Not to get huge, just to feel strong again, to prove to myself I could commit to something and see results. The physical exhaustion helped me sleep. One Wednesday evening, I picked up Emma and Sophie for dinner. As we sat at the Mexican place they loved, Sophie said, "Dad, are you happy?" The question caught me off guard. "What do you mean, sweetheart? You seem sad sometimes. We want you to be happy." I looked at both of them, these two people I'd do anything to protect. "I'm working on it. Some days are harder than others. But when I'm with you two, I'm always happy. That's the truth." Emma nodded. "Mom seems sad too." "She probably is. But that's not your job to fix. Your job is to be 12 and 9, do your homework, play soccer, and know that both your parents love you. Deal?" "Deal," they said in unison. Back at my apartment, I thought about Sophie's question. Was I happy? No, but I was functional, building something new. The old life was gone, but maybe that wasn't entirely bad. I'd been sleepwalking through it anyway, working to maintain something that was already hollow. I called Dr. Richards. "I think I'm ready to move from surviving to actually living." "That's good, David. What does that look like for you?" "I don't know yet, but I'm ready to figure it out." 6 months after the divorce finalized, I moved into a small house I'd bought. 3-bedroom, 15 minutes from the girls' schools. It needed work, which was perfect. I spent weekends refinishing floors, painting walls, building a deck. Physical work that had clear beginnings and endings, unlike emotional work. Emma and Sophie helped pick out paint colors for their rooms. We made it a project together, turned their weekends with me into something stable in theirs. Sophie wanted purple walls with glow-in-the-dark stars. Emma wanted minimalist gray with string lights. Both got what they wanted. At work, the hospital renovation wrapped successfully. Karen called me into her office. "David, I'm promoting you to lead project manager. 20% raise, oversight on all major projects. You've earned it." "Thank you. I appreciate the confidence. You've been through hell this year and never let it affect your work. That's leadership." The promotion meant more responsibility, but also more flexibility. I could better control my schedule around the girls, could take mornings off for their school events without guilt. I started coaching Sophie's soccer team. The previous coach had moved, and they needed someone. I'd played in high school, still knew the fundamentals. Practiced twice a week, games on Saturdays. Sophie beamed when I showed up to the first practice. "My dad's the coach," she told her teammates. Through soccer, I met other parents, mostly moms, a few dads. Built a community that had nothing to do with my old life. One dad, Robert, was also divorced. We'd grab coffee after practices sometimes. "Your girls seem well adjusted," he said once. "They have bad days, but mostly they're resilient. Kids bounce back faster than adults." Truth. My son was a mess for 6 months, but now he's thriving. Different family structure, but still family. I joined a Tuesday night poker group through Marcus. 5 guys, rotating houses, low stakes, mostly an excuse to drink beer and talk. Nobody asked about my divorce unless I brought it up. We talked sports, work, stupid funny stories. Normal guy stuff that I'd been missing. One evening, as I built the deck at my house, Jake stopped by with pizza. We sat on the unfinished platform, eating and watching the sunset. "You seem better," he said. "I am better. Still have moments, but they're getting fewer." "You dating?" "No, not ready." "That's fair. But eventually, man. Don't close that door forever." "I won't. Just need more time." Emma started coming to me with bigger questions about relationships, trust, how to know if someone's genuine. She didn't mention her mom directly, but I knew what she was really asking. "People are complicated," I told her. "Sometimes they make bad choices. Sometimes relationships run their course. The important thing is to be honest with yourself and the people you care about." "Were you honest with Mom?" "I tried to be. I worked a lot, maybe too much, but I never lied to her or betrayed her trust. Those are different things." She thought about that. "Okay. Thanks, Dad." These conversations were harder than any construction project, but they mattered more. I heard through Karen that Melissa was struggling. Still in the house, working her job, but isolated. Her relationship with Ryan had been brief and messy. She'd lost some friends who sided with me after the truth came out. I felt a strange mix of pity and detachment. That wasn't my problem to solve anymore. One Saturday, dropping the girls back at the house, Melissa asked if we could talk. The girls ran inside. We stood in the driveway. "I wanted to apologize," she said. "Really apologize, not just the surface stuff. I hurt you. I hurt our family. I took the coward's way out instead of being honest about what I was feeling." I nodded. "I appreciate you saying that. Are you doing okay?" "I'm rebuilding. It's been hard, but I'm in a better place now than I was a year ago." She looked at the ground. "I miss you sometimes. The good parts of us. Those parts were real. But that chapter's over, Melissa. We're co-parents now. We need to focus on that and do it well." "I know. I just wanted you to hear it. That I'm sorry." "I heard it. Thank you." Driving away, I felt a strange sense of closure. Not forgiveness exactly, but acceptance. She was human, flawed, made terrible choices. So was I in different ways. We'd both move forward separately now. At the gym, I'd gotten stronger, more confident. Not trying to prove anything, just consistent effort over time. A woman named Rachel, who worked the front desk, started conversations. Friendly, no pressure. She was divorced too, understood the landscape. "Group fitness class tomorrow morning," she mentioned once. "You should try it. Different crowd, good energy." I showed up. Spent an hour doing exercises I'd never heard of, surrounded by people of all ages. Felt ridiculous and alive at the same time. Rachel caught my eye afterward and smiled. "Told you it was good energy." "You weren't wrong," I admitted. Small moments of connection, nothing forced, just proof that life continued, that joy was still possible. 18 months after the separation, I stood on my finished deck with a beer, watching Sophie and Emma roast marshmallows in the fire pit I'd built. They were laughing about something from school, oblivious to my observation. This simple moment, this peace, was worth more than any dramatic vindication could have been. Work had expanded. Karen promoted me again to regional manager, overseeing projects across the Carolinas. More money, more responsibility, more respect from people who'd watched me rebuild myself while never missing deadlines. The poker group had become a Thursday tradition now. We'd expanded to 8 guys, rotating houses. These men knew my story and never treated me like I was broken. Robert's son and Sophie became friends through soccer. Life was interconnecting in organic ways. I heard through Emma that Melissa was dating someone new. A guy named Tom, worked in banking, seemed decent. The girls had met him a few times and said he was nice. Good. They deserved to see their mother happy too. And I meant that sincerely. "Does it bother you?" Emma asked carefully when she mentioned it. "No, sweetheart. I want your mom to be happy. We're not married anymore, but we're still your parents. If she's found someone who treats her well, that's good. Emma looked relieved. These kids had been through enough. They didn't need to navigate their parents' unresolved bitterness. Through the soccer team, I'd become friends with several families. Regular dinner invitations, kids having sleepovers, a support network that had nothing to do with my past life. Rachel and I had gone on a few casual dates. Nothing serious yet, but comfortable. She understood boundaries, had her own life, didn't need me to be anything other than myself. "I like that you don't try too hard," she said once over coffee. "What do you mean?" "Some divorced guys are either desperate to prove they're still desirable or completely closed off. You're just steady, present. It's refreshing." I spent a year being not present while staying married, not making that mistake again. Jake sold his plumbing business for a good profit and started consulting. He bought a lake house an hour north, invited me and the girls up regularly. Sophie learned to wakeboard. Emma discovered she liked fishing. Simple pleasures that had nothing to do with divorce or betrayal. Just life happening. One evening, Marcus called from Raleigh. "Remember when we talked about it getting better?" "Yeah. I met someone, Sarah. She's incredible. 2 years ago, I thought I'd never trust anyone again. But here I am, hopeful. Just wanted to tell you it happens, man. When you're not looking, when you're just living." Happy for you, Marcus. Your turn's coming. You're doing the work. It'll happen. At Dr. Richard's office for what would be my last session, he asked, "Where are you now, compared to 18 months ago?" Different person. Stronger in ways that matter. Less concerned with what I lost, more focused on what I'm building. What are you building? A life with integrity, honest relationships with my daughters, professional respect I've earned, connection with people who value me for who I actually am, not what I provide, a sense of self that isn't dependent on someone else's validation. That's significant growth, David. It didn't feel like growth while I was in it, just survival. But looking back, yeah, I'm not the same man who installed that recording device. I thought about the younger version of myself sometimes, the one who'd sat in his truck outside Ryan's apartment, paralyzed by betrayal. That man had been breaking, but he hadn't broken. He'd documented, planned, protected his kids, and rebuilt methodically. I was proud of him for that discipline, even when it felt cold. Last month, the girls asked if we could take a trip together, just the three of us. We spent a week in the mountains, hiking trails, playing board games in the cabin at night, talking about everything and nothing. On the last evening, sitting on the cabin porch, Emma said, "Dad, thank you." For what? For being steady, for not falling apart, for making us feel safe even when things were scary. Sophie nodded in agreement. "You're the best dad." I pulled them both close. "You two are why I kept going." Still are. From mutual friends I learned Melissa had struggled initially but was finding her footing now. Tom seemed to be a positive influence. She'd lost weight, looked healthier. Good. I meant that without bitterness. We'd both needed to grow separately. She and I had gotten better at co-parenting communication. Professional but cordial. Coordinated schedules, shared expenses fairly, attended school events together without tension. For the girls, we presented a united front. Our marriage had failed, but our parenting didn't have to. Standing on my deck tonight, I could hear Sophie's laugh from inside where they were watching a movie. Emma had asked if Rachel could join us for dinner next week, a sign she was comfortable with me moving forward. Life wasn't perfect, but it was honest. Built on choices I'd made deliberately, not defaulting to what was expected. The recording device sat in a box in my closet, along with the divorce papers and other artifacts from that chapter. I'd keep them, not to dwell on, but as reminders of what I'd survived, of the discipline that had saved me from impulsive destruction, of the moment I'd chosen strategic rebuilding over emotional revenge. Tomorrow I'd coach soccer practice. Next week I'd present a new hospital project to the board. Next month Jake and I were planning a fishing trip. Small, tangible, real moments that added up to a life worth living. The old David would have measured success by his marriage, his wife's happiness, external validation. This David measured it by integrity, authentic connection, and the ability to look in the mirror without flinching. By that standard, I was winning. Quietly, steadily, without needing anyone else to acknowledge it. And that was enough. What was the biggest lesson here? That revenge is temporary, but rebuilding is permanent? That the hardest part of betrayal isn't the act itself, but choosing not to become bitter? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Which moment hit you hardest? Smash that like button if this story resonated. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more stories about men rebuilding their lives with integrity. You won't want to miss what's coming next.